About 6 months after I started this channel, so around 4.5 years ago now, I released a tour of my everyday historical wardrobe. These are outfits that I wore in my everyday life as someone who dresses historically every day. At that time, I was only sewing for about 9 months, so many of the things that I was showing were garments sewn by other people, which I would often purchase secondhand, or they'd be historically inspired garments. A few of them I had made myself, but a strong portion was not made by me. Additionally, at that point in time, I was really only wearing 18th and 19th century clothing. Fast forward to today, nearly 5 years later, and a ton has changed with my wardrobe. I've made and hand-stitched almost every piece that I regularly wear, and I wear many different time periods of clothing in my daily life. I've been receiving quite a few comments lately asking for an updated wardrobe tour, so I'm here to deliver. Now, because I have made so many garments throughout the years, I won't be showing every piece I've made in this video. That would take so much time. Instead, I'm going to show the majority of the pieces that I actually very regularly wear in my usual life, as well as some ways in which I like to style them. I was thinking about what would be the best way to organize these garments, and I decided by season would be ideal since that's often how I think about my own clothing, since wearing historical clothing every day means that you have to think a lot about weather conditions. I have some garments that are most ideal for hot summer weather, others that are suitable for cold winter weather, and then I have quite a few of these kind of transitional garments, which can be layered and styled to suit weather that is neither cold nor warm, or weather that frequently changes throughout the week. So for example, parts of spring and autumn would be the perfect time to wear these. So let's start off with winter, since at least in the Northern Hemisphere where I live, we are currently in that season, and so I have a lot of winter on my brain, especially since so much of Europe has been hit by snow recently. I have a few primary outfits that I wear and layer up during winter, and I talk about some of the ways I style them with coats and other accessories in another video called something along the lines of How I Survive Winter Wearing Only Historical Clothing. You know, some title like that. But for the base dresses or layers that I wear, it's very often clothing from the Middle Ages these days, actually, because I find that this type of wool and these cuts are so perfect for winter. In fact, my primary focus for how I dress during winter is by layering a ton of wool on top of one another. The past couple of weeks, I traveled in wintry and snowy conditions without a coat, and I just wore wool layers, and I managed to stay perfectly warm throughout the whole experience, and I've even hiked the Dolomites in medieval clothing wearing just the usual wool layers, and I felt quite comfortable temperature-wise. One of those outfits is my Viking wool dress that I made a couple years ago now, based off one of the Herjolfsnes finds, and I'm still wearing it even though I currently really need to fix the underarm because it's forming a hole. And I like to style this one with various tablet woven belts, as well as sometimes with a thicker leather belt, and I often layer it with a wool Sontag wrap that I knitted, as well as this Icelandic meets Victorian sweater, which I'm currently wearing, and I did not knit this one, but it is absolutely beautiful. I filmed in Iceland back in June, and the weather was quite cold due to a windstorm, and these 3 layers definitely helped protect me from the elements. As someone who has been a part of the online historical fashion and archaeology communities for some years now because of this channel, I love celebrating and acknowledging the incredible work of other individuals in this community. Jay Draper recently released a video called Why Did Guys Put Their Hands in Their Waistcoats?, which is a brilliant video essay that discusses the historical reasons and deeper meaning behind the classic stance that you constantly see in historical portraits. I absolutely adored this episode, and it is exclusive to an ethical streaming service called Nebula, and it is part of their Nebula Plus content. Nebula is actually the sponsor of this video. Both Jay Draper and I are creators over there, and I actually met Jenny once some years ago when I was in London at an event, and they are such a lovely and wonderful person. I really enjoyed chatting with them for a little bit. In September of last year is when I became a creator on Nebula, and they've been so incredibly supportive of all my projects, including the ones you see here, as well as another bigger project, which I'm really excited to announce later on this year. I'm so proud to be a part of Nebula because we're an independent creator-owned streaming service that offers ad-free, easy access, and early access content, as well as exclusive content such as Nebula First, where content is released early, Nebula Plus, where bonus content can be watched like Jay Draper's video that I just mentioned, and Nebula Originals, where prestige high-quality videos made in collaboration with Nebula can be discovered. Our platform is also free from AI slop, so you don't have to worry about accidentally supporting channels that aren't even run by humans. And it also contains a plethora of thoughtful content that simply can't be found anywhere else. My favorite part of all is that we are a cooperative, and it feels incredibly soothing for me personally to be a part of a streaming service so in line with my own personal values. In case you just can't wait for a new release, all of my content is released over on Nebula first 3 days early, including the video that you're watching right now. And you also get guest passes as a Nebula subscriber, where you can gift a first-time watcher 1 week free on Nebula. Nebula offers a lifetime subscription for the price of $500 paid once, monthly subscriptions for as little as $6, or yearly subscriptions for $60 per annum. But you can get Nebula with 40% off a subscription costing just $36 for a year or $300 for an entire lifetime. But currently, even better, Nebula is offering 50% off a yearly subscription, taking the price down to just $30 per year. By clicking the link in my description or scanning the QR code here on screen, you can get the special offer. Thank you so much to Nebula for sponsoring this video, and I'm so grateful to them for supporting me in my endeavors to release informative content like this video without having to worry about algorithms and all the other downsides of posting to social media platforms. Now, to continue with my winter historical wardrobe, I also love to wear a combination of this 13th century or 14th century wool coat, along with this detachable sleeved surcoat. I also like to combine this with perhaps a wool cloak on top, and this all together helps to keep me super warm. I have these wool arm warmers as well, which I crocheted many years ago now, and crochet of course isn't a thing during medieval times from what we know at least, but I really love to wear them if my arms are feeling a little bit chilly, and I'll sometimes layer them on top of the surcoat. I'm almost done sewing another winter surcoat now, so my collection of warm medieval winter clothes is slowly growing. I also have a couple of kirtles which are perfect to wear as a base layer for winter. This 14th century pink one from a few years ago that I made from a very thick wool is one such option, and I'll often wear it with a linen shift beneath, and then I will layer the crocheted arm warmers and a shawl, and sometimes one of my vintage winter coats over top. Many people mentioned in the video where I made it how the color would not have been authentic for the period due to purple and pink garments being so expensive to dye, but during the Middle Ages, in some regions, there was a type of lichen readily available which produces this exact shade of bright pink purple type of dye. So it would have been possible as long as a specific sumptuary law in that particular region wouldn't have disallowed this color. Then another kirtle which I recently finished making, which I've been integrating more into my winter wardrobe now, is the guna, which is an overdress that I made for my 16th century Irish makeover. I dyed this one myself with madder, and it was my first time working with madder or dyeing anything with plant material other than tannin dyeing, so that's why it turned out a little bit patchy and blotchy, but I still really love how it turned out. In my own everyday life, I usually wear it without the embellished sleeves because I find that they then get a little bit less in my way, and instead I'll wear a linen smock underneath and then layer things kind of like how I do with my other pink kirtle. I have two Victorian-style cycling suits that I also wear in rotation throughout the winter. One is a set that I knitted completely myself, and I even came up with the pattern for the bloomers, as well as the sleeve pattern for the sweater. Knitting these two was a real challenge and a test of my growing skill set, as I had only been knitting, I believe, for a few months when I made both of these, and somehow I managed to make an entire pair of bloomers and a bloomer set. I don't know how I had the patience for this in the moment, but somehow I did. The set is completely made of wool, so you can imagine it is quite warm. And then I also have this other set, which is made from a woven wool cloth. I like to wear the trousers with blouses and coats over top, or sometimes I'll also pair it up with the green cycling sweater that I knitted, and I think it looks quite chic and oddly modern even if it's a heavily Victorian silhouette. My transitional clothing tends to float between different seasons, and I can add more layers or remove layers depending on what the weather is feeling like. One of the first items is my blue linen kirtle, which is made of a thick, heavier weight linen. This linen kirtle can be okay for some temperatures in the 20 degrees Celsius range, but when it starts to get up into the high 20s or even into the 30s, that's when it's better for me to wear something more flowy, like some of the summer weather pieces that I'll be talking about soon. But I absolutely love the fit of this garment. Next up is this blue linen coat. It's less form-fitting than the kirtle, and I can easily belt it, so I can customize the length of it depending on what I'm doing during my day. One of my favorite garments that I love wearing so much is my red Tatar late 19th century, early 20th century working class dress. I'm wearing it here right now, as you can see. I love this dress so incredibly much, and I wear it constantly, especially when the weather is a little bit warmer or more transitional. It's a very cold day today, and I'm still wearing it, and I layered it up with a bunch of wool, so it is possible to wear it in winter too, but it is, I think, most ideal for transitional seasons. Then if I want to go somewhere fancy or need to go somewhere where I need to be a little bit extra dressed up, I plan to wear my silk Tatar early to mid 19th century dress that I made during my Tatar makeover video. And I actually haven't had to go anywhere extremely fancy since I made this dress, so I haven't had a reason to wear it yet for that purpose, but it's here for when I do. Sometimes these days, I also still wear my old Victorian wrappers that I made some years ago. I have 4 of them in total, I believe, and I wear them from time to time if I'm feeling like I want to wear corsetry again and have a little extra support, or if I just want to lounge around in one without a corset. And some of my older garments that I still wear includes a few of my 18th century inspired ones, like this bedgown and these wrap skirts, which are super comfy and tie from back to front and then front to back. And I don't know if you've noticed, but pretty much all of my wardrobe is completely or mostly size adjustable, which means that I'll be able to keep wearing these garments even throughout all the natural fluctuations of my body throughout my lifetime. And all I'm going to have to focus on is that I keep on repairing and mending them and keeping up with taking care of them, because that way they will hopefully actually last for a long time. Finally, for summer, the last of the seasons that I'm covering, I actually have a video where I go into depth about how I survived summer wearing only historical clothing. It's kind of the parallel to the winter one that I made. So do go and check that one out if you want to get even more in depth about things. But for summer, I wear a lot of ancient and antiquity clothing that I made of linen because I find it so perfect for when it's very hot. I have a series of ancient Greek chitons that I made, including this green one, a blue one, an orange one, and then I have 2 peplos as well, which I wear, and one of them is this olive green one, and another one is this blue one. All of these are made of a lighter weight linen, cotton, or a summer weight wool, which I think is actually one of the absolute best materials for hot weather. I know a lot of people are confused by wool in hot weather. It seems counterintuitive, but it's actually absolutely excellent. And I can wear all of these garments either belted or unbelted depending on how much airflow I want or how I want to style them. And I can also dress them up or down however I please and change my hairstyle and layer things under or over them, so they can be very, very versatile. I also love to wear Italian camicios from about 1491 during summer because they are floaty and beautiful and kind of majestic looking in a weird way, but yeah, I just absolutely love these dresses. I think they're so beautiful. I made this green one as my very first attempt with some additional sleeve ruffling, couching, I don't know what to call it, ruching, I think ruching is the word. And it also has a drawstring at the neckline, so it's extremely size adjustable. And after this one, I made another one from red linen with wider drapey sleeves. And finally, I made a super lightweight option from a cotton voile when I was doing my pre-Raphaelite makeover, which I ended up wearing a ton after this makeover when the weather was a little bit warmer. So this is pretty much everything that I would say I regularly wear for my daily wardrobe these days. I also have some knitwear pieces. For instance, I have a couple more Sontags, which I didn't knit myself. And I have, of course, like another Victorian cycling sweater, which I sometimes still wear. So yeah, there are some other pieces that I also kind of mix in with these, but this is the general idea. There are, of course, some older pieces that I have sewn, which I've put away in longer term storage bags. And I tend to wear them if I go to an event in that era, or sometimes if I just want to wear something a little bit different, I'll go and explore my older garments and take them out and wear them again. But the pieces I show here are my most versatile and most frequently washed and worn ones. So yeah, this is really what it all includes for the most part. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this updated wardrobe tour, and I'm really looking forward to 2026 and all the content that I have planned for you to see, including some bigger projects like I mentioned earlier in the video. I've been sort of plotting a lot of things behind the scenes, not talking about them, so I think 2026 is going to be the year where a lot of those things actually end up coming out. And as you've seen, my content has been really focusing a lot on documenting other people's stories as well as some of my own experiences, and as well as a bigger focus on handicrafts and experimental archaeology. So I'm going to keep going in that direction for 2026 as well, with some extra little twists. All right, well, I will see you all at the end of January for another video.